Let's get crazy. What the heck?
And after a week off, I still remember how to do this. So, it's December 30th, 2019. It's a Monday. And unlike usual, I'm not going to paint something from Games Workshop. I know. Everybody just tuned out right there. Just gone. Whew. Anyway, doing something a little different today and tomorrow. It's the last 2 days of the year, and I have to get a model done it's a copy of the very first model that I ever did. And we'll just go straight to the painting can because, why the hell not? All right. So the very first model that I ever did was was actually this Warmachine Lancer, Cygnar Lancer. And I did that in October of 2017. I actually put the year on him. I could probably go back in my phone and pull up some pictures and tell you what the exact day was, but I don't really want to right now. So anyway, I started painting 2017. This was the very first one that I did, and somebody mentioned something somewhere that, it's a good idea to keep hold of that first model that you did to see, where you started and where you've gone. And I realized that they were still making Lancers and that I could do something that not a whole lot of folks get to do, and that's paint the same model a year later and see how far, how different it looked. So the 2017 model versus the 2018 model looks considerably different. Even back then, I didn't go for the normal blue. I wanted blue metal, and so that was my first attempt at it. And you can see that I sort of figured it out later, but it's still not. It's probably better inked. I think I may actually try contrast on it this year to see what the blue does, but we'll see what happens. So there's going to be a lot of metallics because, dude is a giant walking robot. And we'll just get started on it. I found some new metallics that I really like. The acrylic airbrush metal colors from Vallejo. Yeah. Can't go wrong. Hi, Robin. So sometimes it shows me when folks log in or join, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what the difference is on why I get to see some folks and I don't others, but whatever. We're just going to go for a couple of drops of this because this is the steel color. And I figured that all his little guts and bobbles and bits were going to get steel this year. I'm still going to do... I've got a new copper color. These do separate pretty quick, so you got to give them a little shake or they look really funky. But yeah, I got a new copper color, and I'll be doing that on the trim and all that stuff that you see around here. You know, all the copper work, or brass, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But I'll be using that. And, but we're just going to... grab the steel and start going to town on this. I did turn my audio up, right? Well, I guess if Robin heard me, I guess. Yes, I did. There we go. Alright. So, because this stuff is airbrush paint, it's pretty thin to start with. And I'm gonna sort of use this one as a guide, and we're just going for broke here. We're putting steel everywhere except for the weapons, because we're gonna do gunmetal on those. Thank you. So, as of late, I've been sort of priming everything into either a light gray or a white, just because I've been using a bunch of lighter colors. When I first started off, I always primed everything in black. I don't know why. I guess so. I'd watched a bunch of videos, and the what was it, Dallas Kemp from, well, he was working for Privateer at the time. Yeah, I don't know if it was a I don't know if it was a choice that he made, or if it's because black is easier to shoot on camera than the white. It doesn't, like, you can actually see details on this model right now, where if I did it in white or light gray, everything gets blown out. My guess is it's probably because the camera picks this up better. I don't know. So that may have had something to do with it. So when I first started, everything got primed black. Not to mention that P3 primer, that black primer, was very forgiving, and that was sort of essential for me when I first started off, because if it hadn't been for that primer clinging to details and stuff like that, I'd have washed a bunch of stuff out. It'd have been bad. I mean, yeah, when I first started out, it was like, I mean, you take a rattle can and just it's primed. I didn't worry about it. Yeah, we just blast it with a rattle can and move on. And you know, now I've got to wear airbrush when I prime, and you can be a lot lighter with that, and you don't have to worry about it because, I mean, it's pretty immediate response on what you're looking at. You don't have to blast it and hope that it seals up right. I had many a model where I shot it and I'm like, man, I can't even see their face anymore. I hope that dries right. Just had to sit it down for, 20, 30 minutes and hope that that worked out for me. And I'll be honest, most of the time it did. Their primer, the black primer, was freaking amazing. You could shoot a gallon of that stuff on a model and it would suck into every little nook and cranny and wouldn't hide your details. And the only problem I ever had was trying to find it all the time. Like, if you found like a couple of cans of it, you had to grab it because it would just disappear, and you wouldn't be able to get it for like a month or two at a time. I'm sure that there's some detail that I'm hitting. Yep. It's fine. So pretty much, probably should have just primed it in this. That probably would have been easier. But just going in here and making sure that everything gets hit. The brass will go over this steel color just as easy as it'll go over the black, so no big deal. If I hit something that I need in the gold color later, we just go back and hit it. And like I said, we're not gonna do the weapons in the steel color. This is mainly for the base for the armor, or well, for the warjack. This stuff lays down really well. I don't know if you can see that, but like you can almost watch the metallic flake swirl on this stuff when you put it down. It is it's pretty good stuff. I like it. Was it Jacob told me about it, and then I was watching, I think it was Vince Ventrella. Yeah, everybody knows Vince. Come on. Anyway, and apparently these are like the only metallics that he'll use, so it's a pretty good endorsement. Now I know like the backpack and all that stuff, or the boiler that's on the back, I'm definitely not doing that in silver. That's not going to be steel, so. Was I like way off the camera again? So anyway, well, like I said, this is a model now that I do. As long as they're going to keep making them, I'll keep trying to buy them. And if I find out that they're not going to make them anymore, I'll probably try to buy up a few, so I have a stockpile somewhere. I'll just if I ever hear that they're gonna stop making these, I'll probably snag up a few, so I've got a year or two's worth, and I can keep doing this because it's I don't know, it's sort of interesting to see where you started, where you nope, my head was in the way. Okay. So it's sort of interesting as like a benchmark. I'm never going to go back and strip these models. I'm not getting rid of them. I may, sell off XYZ army, but those guys are sticking with me. Because it's sort of neat to go back and go, man, you know, your painting style changes a little bit. You know, you learn new techniques and you learn this and you learn that, but it's slow. And, you know, it may be a big jump. You may try something out new this week and it's a big change from what you've done before. But, you know, yeah, you see that change that time, but, you know, you learn different things and you slowly teach yourself little tricks, and you don't notice it because it happens slowly over time and over a couple of months. You don't really notice it. Even something simple like this, just base coating this metallic on there, I guarantee you I'm doing it a whole lot different than I did when I first started. So this going down a whole lot smoother than any of the metals on that original went down. So, you know, a lot of folks are like, well, I went back and repainted my first army. Why? It's where you started, man. Yeah, it may not be to the standard that... It may not be exactly the way that you want it now and everything, but, dude, that was where you were at that point. So, you know, go back and look at it and go, yeah, I'd do this different. If it really, really means that much, grab the model again. You know, I'm not telling you that you can't go back and strip things, because yeah, we strip things all the time. Did a paint scheme on that and it looked pretty. It's my army and I didn't like that paint scheme, so guess what? Into the purple stuff you go. And we'll go back and we'll repaint them. Tried something. I mean, it looked fine. It's just I didn't think that I would play with that on the tabletop. So, or not so much that I wouldn't play with it. It's just I wasn't going to be happy with it. So it got stripped. And unlike some of the metallics, this goes on pretty thin. So you may want to go back over it and give it a little shot. Like some metallics, you put them on and they're just... It's like melting a crayon onto it. These work really thin. And they've got a lot of metal in them. I don't know if that's the little bits of metal that give it the metallic sheen. There's a lot of them in there. So it does really well. It's just, like I said, with a black base coat, this stuff goes on fairly thin, so you may actually want to do 2 coats to this. I'm actually running out. In case you didn't see it, that's what we're using is the Vallejo metal color. I'm using steel for it because I figure that most of that most of the body on this would be steel. Man. So luckily this model is, like I said, we're going to put a base coat of steel down on pretty much everything on here because I'm jumping all around this model. Like I looked down and the leg wasn't done. Ooh, well. Phooey. All those little bits and bobbles and the steampunk shoulder, elbow, whatever the heck you want to call it. Make sure that gets in there. I don't want it to pool in there because I don't want it to just be a blob, but I definitely want the color in there, so. Like I said, we may try it's 2019. It's the year that contrast came out. I may just give it a shot with the contrast blue across some of the silver. Just because, well, you know, hey, it's contrast year, right? It's not that, you know, I'm painting everything with contrast. It's just I give that stuff a shot every now and then. See what it does. There's still finding like little tricks and things to try with that. Like like this wrap right here. Yeah, we're definitely using contrast on that. This leather, the snakebite leather is like my favorite contrast paint ever. So we'll go back and we'll hit that with the we'll put like a gray coat over that wrap on his weapon, and we're gonna make that into a real leather color this year. So, and with snakebite leather, it's a one coat and done. You might go back and hit it a couple of times, just give it a weathered look, but that stuff it works as advertised. Okay. So like I said, with it going over the black, it's pretty thin. And there we go. Sorry, I forgot. It's been a week. It goes on pretty thin, so you want to make sure I'm using the metallic to give it that overall robot look. So even when I put my coats over the top of it, that I'm going to be using that metallic look to influence the color on top of it. So I would definitely want to make sure that I've got man, on camera that shows much more silver than it does in person. Sort of weird. Let's see if I can give you an idea of what I'm looking at. Maybe if I turn that... Ooh, wow. I just flooded that camera right out, didn't I? Ooh. So... a little bit darker down there. But it's still catching the light on the camera pretty good, so... I don't know. So right up here through the shoulders, we'll make sure that that's done up. I think the stacks, yeah, we'll do the stacks up too. Yeah, one of the things I worry about is I haven't done a Warmachine model probably since I did this one last year. Painted a bunch of Infinity, painted a bunch of Games Workshop, painted Marvel's Crisis Protocol, but not so much Warmachine. So the whole story behind that is that when I first started painting this, I was looking for something. I was working nights. I was working 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. on a rotating schedule. So I had every other weekend off, but every other weekend I worked. And then, you know, it was like work Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, off Monday, Tuesday, work Wednesday, Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you've ever tried to work at night when you've got a kid in the house, it doesn't work out real well. Because daytime is still daytime. So, but I couldn't I couldn't shift back and forth, if that makes sense. I just couldn't do that. It wasn't going to work for me. I couldn't, like, you know, work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday go back and shift my days around to where I was up during the day, and then on Wednesday and Thursday go back to night watch. It just wasn't happening. I'd try to get up earlier, and I'd try to, you know, but I was still going to bed at, like, in the mornings while everybody was away, and it just, yeah. So I was up at night by myself, and I started looking around because I'm like, well, I don't want to go hang out at the only thing that's open, which was a bar. But I started looking around, and I'd always seen like, you know, war games and stuff like that, and I decided that, well, maybe I could look into those. And I started looking around, and of course Warhammer 40,000 is like the hugest game and all that stuff, and it didn't take me real long, and this was 2 years ago when GW wasn't quite the company that they are now. This is back when, you know, they didn't tell you anything. They didn't say boo to anybody. Customer service was a foreign word. And so I found Privateer Press, and they had all these videos on how to play their game and how to do this and how to do that, and it looked interesting. So instead of jumping on the Warhammer bandwagon, I decided that I would play Warmachine. This is also not knowing anybody else that played the game. or any place that actually played it. So I decided that I was going to do this. So I bought my first battle box, had Cygnar and Cricks in it, and I got a set of Army Painter. I got a box set of Army Painter paints. And I sat down one night and I put on a podcast. I put on Hardcore History. Cannot think of his name right now. Damn it. Can't think of his name. Anyway, I put Dan Carlin. Damn. There we go. Knew I'd think of it. Put on one of his podcasts, and I'd put this guy together. I think I'd put them all together. But I'd watched a bunch of videos. I'd watched Dallas paint a bunch of this stuff. And I started painting away. And yeah, that's how I started painting this stuff. I think this guy took me 2 nights. I also found out that, if you ever do a shade over a metal, you should definitely let that metal dry before you try to put absolutely dry before you try to put the next layer on. If not, you're not going to have a good time. I found that out real fast. In case you don't know, if that blue going over the silver is a little bit wet, it will peel up in parts. You try to put another coat down, and it will just peel up, and you're back to silver in that little spot. And trying to get that to match up and everything, that's why that one's sort of lumpy. Is trying to get that to match up again is next to impossible. So this is gunmetal. Once again, looking way more metallic on the camera than it is in real life. But because I want the top a little darker, I'm going to mix in, because that's still pretty wet up there. So it's sort of a mix between steel and gunmetal on the top there. I do need this steel back here though, because I need the back side of this helmet. The back side of his head. Call it a helmet, whatever. This is one of those areas where you think I would have learned my lesson and, left the head off, but no. Damn it. Wrong cup. Alright, we're going to grab some copper. Just going to give it a shake. They actually do come with their own little mixing ball. It's in there. It's like Prego. It's in there. I did find that watch it when you close those. If there's a little bit of that metal hanging around, it'll sling it. So just be careful when you close those. All right. Since this is a steampunk robot, everything is run by a boiler. And I usually get copper or brass or something like that. So I just start coating everything. Like the band, I'll probably do a different color. The gauges will do the face on those and get that. But for right now, we're just going to base coat everything in this copper. So something I'm working on also, it hasn't, I don't think it hasn't gone live yet. We'll try to get it fixed up tonight to where I can get it out and ready to rock. I'm doing a blog for AtlantaWarhammer.com. A couple of the guys that play Age of Cygnar at Gigabytes are making a website and doing a podcast, which I don't know if the podcast has gone live yet. But Zach and Josh and David, I think, are trying to make our own little local area thing. And Llama Juice is sponsoring it. I'm the first sponsor. Yay! Oh, wait, I'm the only sponsor. Boo. But, like I said, it just launched. They're doing blogs on there. I'm trying to get a painting blog together. Of course, I'm going to be doing different stuff than what I'm doing on here. I've actually, the whole thing for the blog is the upcoming The Great Reawakening, which, if you don't know, that's a league that's going at Gigabytes starting in January. And it'll be an AOS league. And you can donate to a charity and pick your start collecting box. Or you can you can pay, I think it's $90, and spin well, it's not really spin the wheel, but hit the button and it will go round and round, and it will select you one of the available or one of the generated start collecting boxes. There's a couple, like the one that I ended up with is the spiders from the Gloom Spike Gets, and I think they're called Spiderfang Grots, I think is the faction name for them, or the sub-faction, I don't know what it's called. Anyway, it's not the army that I would have gone ooh 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 ooh, but guess what? It's cool, and that's what I got. And so I'm gonna be painting those up, and I'm gonna be doing a blog on there to sort of walk through and basically, here's an army, we're gonna start it, and we'll walk through and we'll figure out a color scheme, and we'll figure out how to get the line troops for it and get those together and get everything going as far as that goes. But yeah, I'm going to be doing that on AtlantaWarhammer.com. Like I said, I don't know if the podcast is up yet. Or where it's available, if it's available on the website. I don't know. I should know these things, but I don't. So, as soon as I get something on that, I will post something on Llama Juice, on the Llama Juice Facebook page, because the Llama Juice website is not quite live yet. We're working on it. I want to get that up like the first week of the new year. So there's so many things that I'm trying to squeeze in right at the beginning of 2020. Something's going to get dropped. More than likely it's the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Oh. So I have a little moment of silence for my Ossiarchs. They're not going anywhere. They're just going to probably sit for a little longer in whatever primer or unassembled state they're in. It happens. Let's see. Okay, let's go down here. This little boiler. Oops. Looks like I might have to pick up some new brushes that I use for my metallics. These aren't exactly, yeah. So if you're not aware, metals eat brushes. And I use one set of brushes for metallics, and I use a different set for my regular paint. And it looks like this one's going a little flat. Yeah, if you can see the end of that brush, it's like yeah is a technical term, okay? Alright. Come back around here to the collar. Collar and the vent plates, okay. So this up here is going copper. that. Ooh, lurky. Now we do his little chicken stripe. Scurvy furdy furdy. Yep, I'm off the top of the screen. My bad. So there's a little grill right here. Don't know. Well, okay, so probably the box art is probably why I've always painted this in a brass color. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense why that would be brass or gold or anything else besides, well, when they did the box art, it's always that color. So, guess what? I'm not changing that color up. Alright. Well, shit, that goes all the way back there, doesn't it? Alright. We're going to go right there, all across that vent. Back here. Into his back. So, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm hitting like some of the other spots. It's not a big deal. I'll go back with a little bit of metallic because we're going to have to clean up these colors. And this copper is running. I haven't used this one too much yet, but it is running like you put it on something, it's acting like a wash. It's just sort of like. So I'll go back with the metallic, with the steel, to clean up some of this. Man. But it cleans up pretty easy. I don't know if it's because I put it on a wet palette and it just really just sucked up some of that water and decided to become real runny. Or what, but it definitely... It acted more like a wash than a metallic paint. If you can see down there, like around that bolt head, it just like... Whoop. And the brush sucks it right up. It's not a problem. No mistakes, happy little accidents. Oh, Jesus. Yep. Happy little accident. Yeah. So it's got to be that I'm doing off a wet palette. I have never seen it. Well, for one, I've never used it this extensively across a model, so the only time I've really used it before is just like a little shot here and a little shot there, and I was done inside of like 5 minutes. Where this one is sort of sitting for a minute on this wet palette. That may be what's going on. It may not be a fan of that. Damn it. Yeah, we'll just have to clean it up. There's no other choice. It's acting, like I said, it's acting like a wash. It just wants to run. There's that. Alright, so knowing that this is flowing sort of weird, I'm still going to go for this. There's a little ring right here. Upper part of his arm that I'm going to try to make into that brass copper color. I don't know. We'll see. There. I don't know, it may have just been that one brush load of paint that went right there. Because everything else seems to be working out alright. There's those. It's up there on that plate, up around there. Our little brass ring here. Oh yeah. And down here along the base of the weapon, we'll give it a little brass. Copper, whatever. And right up here at the top. So I'm just going to go back and give that a little bit of where it's got a couple of little thin parts. I want to make sure that that's got a good base. How about our little brass ring right there. I don't even know if I can hit it or not, but we're going to give it a shot. I guess these are supposed to be tie-down points for when it's being transported, but I don't know. We'll give that little spot in there a little more steel too. Try to tone that down a little bit. So he doesn't look like much right now. He doesn't look, I mean, it's two colors, steel and brass, right, or copper right now. But what we'll do is I will probably give him a wash of non-oil across the steel parts, and across the copper parts I will probably give him a Seraphim Sepia, or maybe an Agrax. No, maybe a Reichland Flesh Shade. It's got a red color to it. I'll brass it out a little bit. Anyway, we'll give those a shot with that, and probably do that off stream because we're closing in on an hour, and that seems to be the magical point. And Sandy tunes in just in time for me to log off. But probably do those off, and I'll probably finish this up. We'll try to finish this up on stream tomorrow. If not, it's going to get finished tomorrow. So anyway, I just realized that I didn't even touch his shield. We'll do the steel on it, and then we'll do the copper around the edges to give it that contrast and everything. So, and then we may actually do silver across this to almost make it look like a mirror. So good to go. Tomorrow we'll probably log in a little bit early because I've got to go get. I got to take the cat in the morning. It's weird, and then I got to pick the cat up. I don't know. She's not gonna have fun. I'm not gonna have fun trying to do it. Anyway, probably do this a little bit earlier tomorrow. Try to finish this up and everything because he's got to get done before midnight because he's got to be a 2019 model. So we'll give that a shot. If you didn't notice, there's a Chaos Dwarf sitting over there to the side. That's probably what we're going to be painting in 2020. It's another start collecting army, but we're probably going to do that one for the stream and see how that goes. Y'all have fun. Be careful. Bunch of crazies on the road, so watch out. If you've had something to drink, call a friend, call an Uber, walk, sleep in the corner, do whatever you got to do. Trust me, it's no fun on any other thing. Just be smart. Get a friend to drive. Y'all have fun and go paint something.